over to Andrew. Andrew, just one second while I give you remote access.
Is there any way we can see Andrew, or is he?
He'll pop up.
Oh, there he is.
You can
Can you hear me all right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, perfect. And then how do I switch slides?
I'm gonna give you remote access in just 1 second. You're off. No. For some reason, it won't let me, Andrew, so you can just say slide and I'll go to the next one for you.
All right, perfect. So hi, my name is Andrew, and this is my 2020 summer intern presentation. Slide. A little bit about myself. I'm a rising senior at Northside College Prep High School in Chicago, Illinois, and this summer I worked with the Tompkins consumer team alongside John and his 3 analysts. And I'm hoping to pursue a business or math degree in college. Slide. Over the course of the past 6 weeks, I worked with John Tompkins and the rest of his team on 2 companies, Zumiez Retail and Columbia Sportswear. My work for Zumiez entailed updating an existing model the team had already created by going through the company's financial statements and earnings calls, as well as modeling what the company's performance may look like in the future. I also spoke with 2 consultants about the trends they've been seeing in product and category sales. From there, I was asked to give my opinion on whether I thought the stock would make a better long or short position. In the latter half of my internship, I was asked to do similar work for Columbia Sportswear. I worked on creating a model for Columbia that the Tompkins team could later use to make inferences about Columbia's future performance, as well as VF Corp's future performance, one of Columbia's biggest competitors and a company the Tompkins team already tracks. Slide. For the rest of my presentation, I'll be focusing on Zumiez, as that is where I spent the majority of my time. For those that are unfamiliar with the company, Zumiez is a specialty retail company that sells a variety of apparel, accessories, footwear, and hard goods targeted at young men and women. Zumiez was founded in 1978 and continues to be at the forefront of their industry. They currently operate stores in the U.S., Canada, Europe, and Australia, with the majority of their stores being U.S.-based. Zumiez works with and sells various popular brands such as Vans, Santa Cruz, Thrasher, Nike, and Ripken. Zumiez is constantly working to keep up with the changing demands of their customer, and so the brands/products they offer tend to change often. As a result, interpreting customer demand and keeping up with trends is central to Zumiez' business model. Slide. When looking at the business from an investment perspective, it is important to consider a few different factors. Zumiez has continued to see growth in a very difficult market, averaging total same-store sales growth above 5% over the past 3 years. To put this into perspective, other teen retailers such as Abercrombie & Fitch and Hollister averaged 1% and just over 3.5% respectively over the same period. Over the past few years, Zumiez has also started to see a mix shift towards hard goods. More and more of their customers are starting to buy hard good products as opposed to apparel and accessories. Since 2017, hard goods sales have increased by 2%, with apparel as a whole down 3%. Another important factor to consider is that Zumiez has experienced store closures in recent months due to COVID-19. And although they've started to reopen many of their stores, a potential second wave later in the fall would result in them scaling back reopenings. Along the same lines, most of Zumiez customers are beneficiaries of fiscal stimulus, which puts more money and time into their hands. And with this increased budget, Zumiez is a likely target for them to spend their money. Lastly, back to school is an important season for Zumiez, as they tend to see an increase in sales quarter-over-quarter. However, schools have already started to commit to online/virtual instruction as opposed to in-class learning, meaning Zumiez is likely to miss their back-to-school sales. Slide. And with that, I'd like to transition to my opinion on Zumiez stock. When I was first looking at the company during the first week or 2 of my internship, I believe Zumiez would make for a great long position. I thought they offered products that the consumer at the time was looking for. Skateboards and roller skates provided people with the opportunity to stay active while also socially distancing and keeping to themselves. In addition, a large portion of their customer base was put on furlough and unemployment, where they were making double what they worked for. With the extra free time and money, I saw customers potentially spending their money at Zumiez. And to some extent, this assumption held true. Zumiez reported a 180% increase in e-commerce sales during the month of May, and positive sales growth in the last 2 weeks of May when compared to sales during the same time period in 2019. However, looking at the stock today, I would argue that Zumiez makes for a better short position. As mentioned in the previous slide, back to school is an important selling season for Zumiez, and with schools across the country committing to virtual lessons for the upcoming semester, Zumiez will potentially miss their usual back-to-school sales. In addition, there has been some uncertainty around fiscal stimulus, and if it will continue into the latter half of this year. Without fiscal stimulus, it is likely that the recent sales lift Zumiez has experienced will be short-lived and won't continue into the third quarter. Also important to note is that the online sales as well as brick and mortar sales in locations affected by this issue. And so it is for these reasons that I believe Zumiez makes for a better short position. Slide. And with that, I'd like to open it up to any questions you guys may.
Hey Andrew, this is Jeff. Just a quick question for you. I'm curious what you think the biggest risks are to your thesis, and then what is the valuation of Zumiez stock right now?
The biggest risk factors, I think, right now are probably whether or not coronavirus is going to continue in the fall and whether or not schools are going to actually open up or follow through with online learning. So that's probably the biggest risk factor, is that affects their back-to-school sales. And then as far as the valuation goes, I'd have to pull up the model, so I can send you an email after this with those numbers.
No, he didn't know. Oh, I wish he would.
Awesome, thank you.
That's easier. And just a quick question. Was Zumiez a company you were previously familiar with before this project, or did you have to get fully up to speed? I was fairly familiar with Zumiez, as I've actually shopped there myself a few times, but as far as actually running the business and understanding how the business itself operates, I was very unfamiliar with the company. Cool, thanks.
Andrew, it sounds like you did a lot of research. Can you maybe walk us through your research process? What resources you used? What was your thinking? If there was any sort of like go-to website or let me know.
So the main resource that I used is Zumiez Investor Relations website, which you guys can find just by typing in Zumiez IR. That is where they put all of their SEC filings, so their end of quarter results as well as annual results. And all of the information that I found on Zumiez came from different reporting, specifically their 10Ks. That's typically where they outline the most information related to their business operations. And then at the end of my slide, I also referenced an inventory issue that I came about by speaking with the consultants as well as visiting the store myself. And then I also did an online search and looked at their online store and then clicked on a couple of items to see which ones were in stock, which ones weren't, that sort of thing. So those were the main resources that I used.
Great, thank you so much. All right, any last questions for Andrew? Great, thank you so much, Andrew. Thank you to everybody. Did someone have a question? A little vocal presentation there. But thank you guys so much for the presentations, and thank you everyone for joining. An amazing celebration of all the work you guys have been doing, and it really shows. So thank you guys again. Thank you to the managers. Big thank you to Renee. And with that, we will let you all go. But thanks again, guys. It really means a lot for you to put all this work into it. I appreciate the thumbs up, Matt. I'll take it.
Great job, everyone.